What's happening, y'all? So there was some news last week and over the weekend, and I didn't post much about it because I wanted to see what details came out, and details are still coming out. But I think we have a pretty good picture of what went down regarding the trade of the option of death for Brittney Griner. So let's get after it. To this, let me remind you that if you would like to support the channel, we have a couple of ways you can do that. We have merch that is hosted on my wife's store, carrygirl.com, and we're also on Patreon. So when you're checking out some Liberty Cast swag, go ahead and check out Carry Girl and pick out something for your wife or your girlfriend or your mother or any woman in your life who appreciates a strong message of patriotism and empowerment, and links for both Patreon and the merch store will be in the description box below. Now, this might not be a popular take, but I am pretty ambivalent when it comes to Brittney Griner coming home. Now, when I first heard about her being taken into custody in Russia, I was I was one of the people who was adamant about bringing her home. She's an American citizen. She belongs home. We should do everything we possibly can to secure her release. And then details started coming out, and I got into a couple of discussions with some people who disagreed with that assessment. And as details came out, I started to realize that they were probably right. She was in. I realized she was in a mess of her own making. She was living in Russia, so I guarantee she was briefed on the rules and the laws that that she eventually went ahead and broke anyway. She was over there playing basketball, even though she was advised not to do that. She she went ahead and broke the laws anyway, like I said. And so, yeah, yeah, the 9 year sentence that she got was harsh, but she knew it was against the law and she pled guilty. 9 years for weed, essentially. Probably harsh by American standards, depending. There are some people who are incarcerated for allegedly marijuana who've been incarcerated or sentenced for longer sentences, whatever. But 9 years does seem harsh by American standards. But she wasn't in America. She was in Russia. She was in Russia and she broke their laws. I know, like I said, I know that's probably not a popular take, but feel free to come after me. But that's how I see it. Which brings us to the trade that brought her home. We traded we traded Victor Bout, or however you want to pronounce it. Don't really care. But he is a notorious arms dealer and a terrorist who is on tape. He's on tape conspiring to kill American citizens. He's been nicknamed the Merchant of Death. He's been called the most dangerous man in the world. And we gave that guy back to Russia and Vladimir Putin. Russia, who has been named a state sponsor of terror, by the way, and Putin, who is a notorious despot. We gave them that guy for a WNBA player who very few people outside of Texas and Arizona have ever even heard of. In Texas, because she played college ball at Baylor and she plays professional basketball for some WNBA team in Arizona, Phoenix something or other. Yeah, yeah, she's referred to as an icon and a hero. Okay. Even if that's true, and it's not, but even if it's true, and we'll stipulate for the record, we'll stipulate for argument's sake that it is true. How is it a fair trade to trade a notorious arms dealer, a guy who is undoubtedly going to go back to his trade, to his craft? How is it a fair trade to trade a WNBA player for that guy? It's not. Common sense tells you that it's not. But we did it anyway. Now, to be fair, there is another, well, there are many other American citizens being held over there, but the one that's being talked about the most right now, another American citizen being held in Russia is Paul Whelan, a former Marine. And even if we had gotten him home, I would be happier about it, but it's probably still, not probably, it's still not a fair trade. And that has nothing to do with the fact that he was dishonorably discharged from the Marine Corps or anything like that. It's the fact that he's one guy. Yes, former Marine, but he's one guy who, and this is going to sound harsh, yes, he was unjustly detained in Russia and accused of being a spy falsely. But he's one guy that, in the global scheme of things, doesn't have anywhere near the value to the United States other than being an American. And I know that sounds harsh, and I'm not trying to minimize that, but he doesn't have the same value to us that Victor Bout has to Vladimir Putin. It's not even close. And like I said, that sounds cold, but it's true. And leftists are yammering about how people are upset that Brittney Griner was released and Paul Whelan is still over there. And then they bring up the fact that Whelan was taken on Trump's watch, and Trump allegedly did nothing about it. Well, that's simply not true. Trump tried to get him home. Trump tried to negotiate with them, and Trump was presented with the opportunity to trade Whelan for Victor Bout, and he turned it down because he recognized the fact that it was not a good deal for us. It was a fantastic deal for Putin, just like the Griner trade was, but it was not a good deal for Americans, for American safety and security. It just wasn't. Now, would I have rather seen them trade Bout for Whelan? Of course. Of course. He's been over there for years, falsely accused of being a spy, and she illegally brought cannabis into the country and then pled guilty to the crime. Of course, I would rather have seen them bring home Paul Whelan. But let's be honest. The only reason they worked this hard and chose to bring her home instead of Whelan is to win votes. That's it. Brittney Griner is Black, lesbian, and a leftist who subscribes to the correct ideology. That's not my assessment. That's not me. They've all admitted as much. Here's Karine Jean-Pierre basically saying that.
Treat Paul Whelan differently given the nature of the totally illegitimate charges they have levied against Paul. Unfortunately, the choice became to either bring Brittney home or no one. As the president said this morning, he will never stop working to secure Paul's release and return home, and he will not give up. On a personal note, Brittney is more than an athlete, more than an Olympian. She is an important role model and inspiration to millions of Americans, particularly the LGBTQI plus Americans and women of color. She should never have been detained by Russia. And I am deeply proud of the work that the president has done.
So there you see. But it wasn't just that. Politico pretty much gave away the game too here with this nugget. Biden had a painful decision to make to secure Griner's release, and he made it. Okay. The moment ends a brutal 9 months for Griner, who was detained at a Moscow airport for possession of vape cartridges containing hash oil. She was sentenced in August to 9 years in prison and was recently sent to a penal colony 300 miles outside of the Russian capital. Along with her sports fame, the fact that she was a gay black woman, there it is, heaped immense pressure on the Biden administration to get her stateside. So I suspect, and I'm pretty sure that I'm correct in this assessment, that if Griner had been a straight white woman, her story would have played out much the same way that Paul Whelan's did. Anyway, that's all I got for you right now. Remember, it's crucial that you keep your head on a swivel to keep yourself, your friends, your family, and your community safe. Do that, and we'll see you next time right here on the Liberty Cast.